My colleague David Breeden writes, "Let's be the welcome we crave. Open hearts, arms outstretched, let's embody radical welcome, unquestioning love. Let's be the welcome we crave, deeply hearing voices and hearts. Let's be the welcome we crave, enriching, understanding. Let us embody the community we crave. Let us be the welcome we crave."
Welcome. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Worcester, a congregation of love, hope, and justice, inspiring people to take on the challenges of a changing world. My name is Suzanne LaRue, and I'm one of your worship associates this morning. We begin by acknowledging that in Worcester, Massachusetts, we work, live, learn, and worship on seized ancestral homeland of the Nipmuc people who survive and remain active as the Nipmuc Nation. We offer a special welcome to those of you who are new or visiting with us for the first time this morning. We are delighted that you are here. We hope that you will join us in Fellowship Hall following the service for refreshments and conversation. If you have any questions or desire more information about this service or any other ministries and programs of this congregation, please do not hesitate to ask. We invite you to fill out one of the cards found in pews. These cards can be placed in the offering plate or given to one of the ushers or greeters this morning. For those of you joining us online, this morning we offer you a very special welcome. For safety purposes and so that we might come to know you better, as you are able, please place your name on your video feed. Please take a moment to sign one of the attendance clipboards. They're in the front here, that are now being circulated. Though you are not obligated to sign, we appreciate your information and will use it only for church purposes. During the service, we offer an opportunity to share a brief personal joy or sorrow. If you would like yours to be read aloud by the minister, please print it on an index card in the pew and drop it in the collection plate when it comes around. These cards will also be posted outside the minister's office to be shared with our friends at other services. For those online, you can place a joy or sorrow in the chat, and we will share it during this time in the service. In the foyer are listening devices and large print service programs and hymnals for those who may find their assistance beneficial. Please see one of our ushers who will be pleased to assist you. I invite you now to turn your technology to worship mode. And finally, please note the announcements on the back of your program. Here. There will be time for short verbal announcements following the postlude. We are so glad you are here and hope this morning is an opportunity for rest, reflection, and rejuvenation.
I invite you now to open your gray hymnals to responsive reading number 634, On Turning, by Jack Reimer. Now is the time for turning. The birds are beginning to turn and are headed once more toward the south. For leaves, birds, and animals, turning comes instinctively. It takes an act of will for us to make a turn. It means breaking with old habits. It means losing face. It means starting all over again, and this is always painful. It means recognizing that we have the ability to change. These things are hard to do. God, help us to turn from callousness to sensitivity, from hostility to love, from pettiness to purpose, from envy to contentment, from carelessness to discipline, from fear to faith. Revive our lives as we at the beginning. Would you please join together in our opening hymn number 218, also found in your gray hymnals, and rise in body or in spirit. Hear me well, I have no need for sacrifice, but mercy, loving kindness shall alone our life and good suffice. And time, I call forth our youngest with their baskets of change for change. For those who are new among us today, this is the weekly opportunity for those in our religious exploration program to contribute to the ongoing ministry of the emergency fund of the church. If you have change to share, please raise your hands, and one of our young ones will find you quickly. So, let me see if this is working. Testing one. Ooh, wow. I don't have to scream or anything. I can whisper and be heard. So, what do you think most people are afraid of? Public speaking. Yeah, that's most people, right? Fear of getting your heart broken? Politicians? Small spaces? Climate change? Embarrassment? Memory problems? Being wrong, making a mistake? Death? Becoming homeless? What did you say? Say it again? Louder? Change. The last shall be first. Change. I would argue that change in so many forms is a basic thing that we are all afraid of. Yes? Especially when it's painful or uncomfortable, yes? Yeah. But we all have to go through changes. And our theme this month is the gift of welcome, and we're exploring that theme through the welcoming of change today as we honor also the Jewish high holiday of Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. So I want to tell you a story. It's the story of an eagle. So the story goes that the eagle has the longest lifespan of its species. It can live up to 70 years. To reach this age, the eagle must make a very difficult decision, says the storyteller. In its 40th year, the eagle's long and flexible talons can no longer grab the prey which serves as its food. Anyone have a difficult time with their talons? Right? By the age of 70, sometimes they don't function as well as they used to. I would tell you at the age of 57, they don't always do what they used to. You know, it's a long, and the sharp and long beak of the eagle, it says, becomes bent. Its old age and heavy wings due to their feathers stick to its chest and make it difficult to fly. Any of you recognize any of this? Right? The process, so the eagle has only two options: to die or to go through a difficult process of change. So the story goes. The process lasts for 5 months. Requires that the eagle fly to a mountain top and sit with its nest, and the eagle knocks its beak against a rock until its beak falls out. No one understands hitting your head against a rock for 5 or 6 months. I mean, I think those of us who went through COVID understand completely what it's like to sit, knock your head against a rock for a few months, right? Eagle will wait for the new beak to grow back after it falls off. And then once it grows back, it plucks out all of its talons. And then the talons grow back, and the eagle starts plucking off all of its old age feathers. And after this, the eagle takes its famous flight of rebirth and lives for 30 more years. Why is change needed? The storyteller asks. To survive and live, we have to start the change process. We sometimes need to get rid of unpleasant and old memories, negative habits, or a fixed mindset. Only freed from past burdens can we take advantage of the present. If the eagle can make a life-saving and life-changing decision at the age of 40, why can't we? In order to make a new journey ahead, writes, we must let go of old limiting beliefs and open our mind and let ourselves fly. When it rains, all birds occupy shelter, but the eagle avoids the rain by flying above the clouds. The problem is common to all, but the attitude to solve it makes the difference. Don't be afraid of change, says the author. Accept it gratefully. I don't know about you, but there are days when I feel like an eagle. When banging my head against a wall or commenting about how things that my body used to be able to do easily now make sounds. Like my knee when I get up and all of a sudden I hear a crack, and my wife actually hears it across the room and screams, "What was that?" I'm like, "It was the chair." Right? But when these kinds of things happen, we have an opportunity, yes? An opportunity to take care of ourselves. An opportunity to think differently about what it is we're doing. And that can be frustrating for those of us who just went through life in our 20s as though our bodies were going to live forever, and therefore we didn't have to concentrate a whole lot on what we ate or what we did, except for those who teach exercise. They've been doing that since they were skiing well into her 70s, right? 80s, and well into her 90s and hundreds too, as far as I can tell, right? All of this is for today an opportunity for us to think about how we change and what we bring to that opportunity. And there will be more on this later, I promise.
Hi, me again. Susie Brew. I'm here to talk just a little bit about this year's Crop Walk event, which will be held October 15th. It's a wonderful event. This will be the 44th year of the Holden event. And there's about 6 congregations that participate. And throughout the years, they have raised over $375,000. This year, they're hoping to raise about $20,000 to bring the grand total up to $400,000. The crop walks are community events sponsored by Church World Services. And this year, 25% of the funds raised will go to our Loaves and Fishes, Mustard Seed, and South Worcester Neighborhood Center. This is a great, I participated in the walk for the last 3 years. It's a great opportunity to get outside, enjoy the day, and also a great event to help people in need. So there is information on our bulletin in the back. There is a website that you can donate to from our church. And I will have some information at coffee hour if you'd like to walk or do a team or just donate. All would be welcome. And let's see. At this time, we come to that time in our service when we are given an opportunity to share that which is symbolic of our own efforts and values, an offering to sustain the mission and ministries of this congregation. If you are new among us, please pass the plate and consider this service our gift to you. We are delighted that you are here, and we welcome any support you are able to offer so that we might make real that which we are most committed to as a congregation of love, hope, and justice, inspiring people to take on the challenges of a changing world. At this time, the morning offering will be received.
And now we come to that time in our service when we're given pause to consider what is deepest in our hearts or most profoundly on our minds, or in the work of our hands in the days that have transpired or in the prospect of days to come. Joys and sorrows which touch us deeply and are given another measure of meaning because of our capacity to share them in the midst of a company that claims us as a co-journeyer. So I invite those of you who have joys or sorrows this day to form lines on either side of the sanctuary, to come and speak briefly into the microphone, telling us first who you are so that those using our auditory enhancement devices might also participate in this important ritual, and then to light a candle if you so desire. Or if you would like me to read your joy or sorrow aloud, please bring it with you on an index card. And for those of you online this morning, either on Facebook or on Zoom, you are welcome to put your joy or sorrow in the chat, and we will do our utmost to include those in this important ritual as well. Are there joys or sorrows to be shared this day?
Hi, my name is Leslie, and I was shocked to see in my Facebook post yesterday that a person who is running for a city position in our city, and that's all I'll say, who lives about 7 houses away from us, and I just wasn't following it this summer, what was going on. I guess there has been stuff going on online, which is not unusual. But apparently the other night it graduated to vandalism. All of her political signs being torn down, and a very hard baseball being thrown very hard against a window. And it just so happens that the window didn't break, but she of course doesn't feel safe, and just a terrible, terrible feeling. And I know there's a lot in our society right now that appears to be going backward, but this really strikes me where I live, which is right in my neighborhood. So just wanted to share that, how very unsettling. And I mean, the computer stuff can be pretty unsettling, but this is so close. So now when every time my husband is working up in another state right now, and I'm alone, but when my dog barks, in the middle of the night, I'll wake up and I'll be scared, and it's just so horrible.
Hello, I'm Diane. I came today and told this little story to a couple of my friends. They assured me that it was joy and sorrows worthy, and then I heard Aaron speak just a minute ago, and for about a year now I've been working at a gym. I don't look like a person that works at a gym, but I go 3 days a week to the gym, and I was extremely proud of myself yesterday. Barry, are you ready for this? I did 20 push-ups yesterday. On the ground, 20 push-ups. I dare any 63-year-old woman in this congregation to a duel this morning.
Don't dare, don't.
Hi, I'm Paul. I'd like to say that I did 20 chin-ups, but I didn't. I'm just remembering my brother Stanley Cookie. He died on October 16th, Peace Day in 1969. He was shot, and it was a very traumatic thing in a family. I mean, anybody goes through when a relative gets murdered, and it took me many years to recover from it. And still, I wonder if I still have, because every so often, like, there are other things that go on that I just don't know that I'm dealing with, and also, like, as I'm getting older and I'm getting less and less friends because people are passing away, or I just don't like them anymore. That happens. But in remembrance of my brother, and I wish it could be better, anything about it, but it is.
This is all right.
Hi, my name is Peggy. This is the first time I've done this. Having to do with change. I've been with many of my friends here at the church demonstrating about women's issues and Black Lives Matters and climate. Yesterday, I closed on a plug-in hybrid Hyundai car, charged it at home last night on my 110 outlet, drove here without using any gas. My fear is change. I have to learn how to use Apple Play and all this computer stuff with this car. But I got here safely, and hopefully I'll get home. Thank you.
Is there a 12-year-old in the room who can assist Peg in how to operate her vehicle? No, right, is it 9-year-old, yes. There you go.
First time up to the microphone. Can you say your name? Okay, we're shy. I'm Dee, this is Sam. We had a mixed bag this week. A neighbor's yard caught fire. However, the firefighters were right around the corner, but we had a lovely symphony of fire alarms for about 6 hours. This one slept through the entire thing. We're not sure how. And I have a new friend joining me for church as well. So a good week. What do you think? He's done. Thanks.
I'm Aria. My entire life, I grew up with all boys, like 6 boys. And like a couple months ago, my mom, we were on this trip to Pennsylvania during the summer, and we're going to like this Hershey Park. It's a roller coaster park, and my mom told us that she can't go on the roller coasters, and she told us that she's pregnant. She's pregnant, and we found out it was a girl. So I'm really excited.
My name's Sari. I just wanted to share that we have close family friends and a neighbor of ours who we've known our entire lifetime, and they've been going through battling childhood cancer with one of their teenagers. So that's been a very scary situation. He had a successful surgery. He's been going through chemo, and lately, unfortunately, he's been feeling very sick due to the side effects of the medicine, but he's also very nervous and scared. He has his full body scan coming up this Wednesday, so we're all very nervous and hopeful for the best for him.
Well, hi, I'm Karen St. Laurent. So speaking of change, I've had major changes over the past couple of years. So last year I changed career paths, retired from as a chiropractor and became a teacher. But I'm actually today coming up to ask for thoughts and prayers for one of the women on my team. 2 weeks ago, she was full term. She was supposed to be delivering her baby girl last week. And she went and delivered her baby girl the week before, and unfortunately, baby was stillborn. So I'm asking for thoughts and prayers for Miss Bridget and her husband Gene, and for the students that we have to tell on Tuesday, because they've been with her the whole time, and for our team, for all of us, that we have to be supportive of our team and our students this week. We're going to have a rough week. So, thank you.
Hello, I'm Bruce, but I have joys from our online community to share today. So from Laura Lenahan, my joy today is the changes my grandson has given me. He keeps me young, laughing, and enjoying new things. Toys all over, Spider-Man and dinosaurs to step on, but the joy of doing it all over again. One must hold on to the positives over negative. We will be there soon. Zoom on my couch is still comfy. From Beth Posner Waldron, I'm getting ready to fly to Baltimore to be there for my 93-year-old mom's knee replacement surgery on Tuesday, hoping that all goes well. And from Stephen Wills, lots of loss this year, 4 loved ones lost from a small group that is contemplating disbanding. I came to get recharged, so Aaron and you all, and I'm overjoyed to see you all virtually today. Keeping in on change, I am ready to wade back in and attempt to gather my fellows together again, and perhaps visit you again as a group. Much love, Steve.
Suzanne LaRue. I'm just so grateful today just to belong to such a kind, loving, caring community. I feel blessed that there's so many good people in the world that can counteract these other events. So we are very blessed. There's many, many wonderful people surrounding us. So thank you.
So my question is, did you go on the Super Duper Looper at Hershey Park? And did you go on the Comet, which is the big wooden roller coaster? Yeah. And let's see, did you go on the thing where you stand against the wall, it spins around and around and the floor drops out and you like stuck against the wall? No? I have an indentation in that ride because I was on it so much when I was your age, because I was raised in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and that was a stone's throw. And then I went to college at Elizabethtown, which is like 20 minutes away. So Hershey Park is like a sacred location. Did you go through the chocolate factory? Did you buy one of the 10-pound chocolate bars that you can get afterwards? You understand we're having a moment, all right? Just so you get that, you know, how you bring me right back, which is so cool. Yes, that's right. Let's be in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of life. So many things fill our hearts this day. The joy of accomplishment, the sorrow that accompanies violence, the care and the concern that accompany prayers for health and wholeness, the joy of companioning our youngest into the fullness of their lives, and the desire to make certain that those who seek health and wholeness find it. We who are grateful every day for the lives we have honor the reality of change. We turn with the seasons in order that we might too thrive through all that life has to offer. I would have us remember our capacity for change so that we might also flourish, and our responsibility to make certain that so do all others, including our precious planet. Help us find the strength, not only to change, but to be change as well. Amen. And blessed be. At the turning of the year in Judaism, when they come to the high holiday of Rosh Hashanah, the new year, they turn to chapters in the book of Genesis, which are well known. One of my favorite stories is one that we had a glimpse at last week, where Abraham is sitting in front of his tent and three strangers come to visit. And Abraham gets up and greets them and calls for a feast to be given in their honor. And they explain to him at that feast that his wife is to be with child. And his wife laughs. Meaning at 80 years old, whatever it was, the idea that she was going to have a child seemed ridiculous. And if we talk about the fear of change, that's probably one of the preeminent fears, that at such an old age we would return to that point of bearing children. But as I was reading that this year, I kept thinking about the fact that we are a week beyond Grandparents' Day, and that over the last decade or so, how many families in our community have been affected by the opioid epidemic, and how many grandparents are raising their grandchildren. That this opportunity to return to something that we thought we were well past actually occurs more often than we'd like to think. And that we are often compelled to do these things out of necessity, as well as out of a sense of blessing. And that we're in a point in our country where lots of people who thought that they had collected enough money to be able to survive old age are finding themselves compelled back into work. That there are so many things that we look forward to that we have to revisit at some point, and that our fears are bound up in the idea that we will not get to do the things we want to do, or we have done all the things we can do, and all of a sudden we're being told, no, there's one more thing. And I think that the book of Genesis actually brings that kind of thing into stark reality, symbolically, if you will. Sarah laughs at God, and God snickers back. How many of us have said, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this, or no way this is going to happen, and then all of a sudden find yourself steeped in that thing that you said there was no way this is going to happen. That's Genesis 18. And what's fascinating is that this motif in Genesis 18 is not new, right? There are two things about this that I find that the rabbis, or actually one thing about the rabbis, another thing about a commentator that I'm fascinated by. One is that the rabbis asked themselves, well, what was Abraham doing sitting at the foot of his tent? Now, I personally think it had something to do with the operation that he had had a few days earlier, and that it was a lot cooler sitting in front of the tent than it was in the tent, and that he was in pain, and that he probably had been self-medicating, and that he was trying to catch a breeze. That's my own shtick. The rabbis think that he was having a conversation with the divine. He was praying. And that in the midst of that exchange between the divine and Abraham, 3 strangers arrive. And the rabbis talk about Abraham essentially saying, "Excuse me," to the divine, "I have to attend to strangers, these strangers." And excusing himself from prayer and going to be with the strangers as a way of indicating that hospitality was the highest form of faithfulness, even that beyond prayer, to greet the other as a gift, right? Highest form of faith. And that, in fact, this whole motif in Genesis is really about everything that we're given can be a gift, or it can be a curse, depending on how we respond to it. But that the first thing that happens in this story is that Abraham gets up and greets this newness, these strangers, as a gift. And let us be clear, this motif is not new to the human narrative, right? You will find within the Greek stories like that of Hyrieus and Tamagra, who entertain 3 men not knowing that these men are gods, that the couple is also recompensed by the gift of a son, and it was noted that the biblical P source doesn't speak at all of angels, meaning that one of the sources within the biblical tradition doesn't talk about angels, just talks about humans. So this notion of hospitality and people coming and us being unaware, and that which comes to us ultimately brings with it a sense of gift and giftedness, is a wonderful symbolic kind of representation of how we greet the unknown. Now, I want to ask any of you, how many of you can honestly say when you are interrupted, something new comes at you, and you have to actually prepare to welcome that which comes at you, that you feel particularly good about all of that initially? Or do you feel annoyed that what you had planned to do is now interrupted and you need to turn your attention to something else? I will gesture to say most of us have the latter attitude, which is, why? What is this about? Less, of course, it's the arrival of grandchildren. And then most of the time I see our folks, dropping whatever it is. I loved this, there was a meme, it may have been on TikTok or something, that my wife or daughter shared with me, where there's a small child in a car seat saying, "Mima and Papa, Mima and Papa," and she's saying, "Honey, they're at work, they can't." He's like, "Mima and Papa," and the next thing over is the Dukes of Hazzard boys flying down and jumping in their car, leaping over something, and the subtext is Mima and Papa are coming, right? So there are certain things that motivate us, right, interrupt us, but in fact what this story is about is, how do we greet the unexpected? And how do we deal with our self-image when the unexpected challenges who we think we are? How do we deal with this notion, Sarah laughs, which is a way of actually holding the reality out here, right? And I suspect most of us have various ways in which we hold realities that we're not comfortable with yet out here. So that's the part in Genesis 18, but then we come to Genesis 21, which is the center of the story that's told in many Judaic circles on Rosh Hashanah. And this is where Sarah delivers Isaac, and Abraham rejoices, and Isaac is eventually weaned, and Abraham throws a big meal again. Abraham was into big meals. That's just the way it was, every turn. And so when Isaac's weaned, Abraham throws another big meal, and Sarah sees Hagar, her maidservant, who had previously been gifted to Abraham because Sarah couldn't have a child. And so Hagar brings forth a baby called Ishmael. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the way this all works out in the biblical tradition and in the Quranic tradition, Hagar and Ishmael, when they are sent away by Abraham because Sarah says they can't be here, they're competition for Isaac. So Abraham reluctantly sends Hagar and Ishmael away, and the story is that Hagar and Ishmael are also blessed by the divine, and that they are the root or the branch upon which the Islamic tradition evolves. What's interesting is that Hagar is actually the first person to have direct communication with the divine in the Bible. Up until this point, Abraham is having these conversations with angelic beings, right, who are representing the divine. But Hagar is the first person in the Bible to actually have a direct communication with the divine. And we forget that when we talk about the subservience of women in Scripture. When others talk about the subservience of women in Scripture, I want to point out to them that that isn't apparently the case. Right? But so my question to you is why? Why is this story so central to Judaism at the turning of the year? What is it about this story that makes it such a meaningful thing that it's retold every year at the turning of the year? What's the theme here that needs to be remembered, literally re-brought back into the center of community and the center of consciousness? Why is this important? Anyone hear the Jeopardy theme right now? Yeah, see, there you go. I think it is simple. I think it is important at the turning of the year when we are turning in literally from the sun, and we are beginning to think about the changes that fall and winter bring, that we have to reconcile ourselves with our past and our future. That's why this experience of a narrative that has both the birth of Isaac and the sending away of Hagar and Ishmael. And I think for Abraham, this is the moment that we all enter when we return to this moment. We have to reconcile ourselves with the things we have done that we continue to wrestle with in terms of their meaning, our sense of responsibility, our grief that occurs because maybe we didn't do the things we thought we should do, and opportunities for us to reconcile ourselves with other people and ourselves. Right? That's the Hagar side of this, and the Isaac side of this and the Sarah side of this is what part of us is actually going to take up the opportunities that are before us? And at the turning of the year, what are those opportunities? And will we have the strength to do the things we think we're supposed to be able to do, or we've been offered to do? And that it is a moment where we seek clarity and we seek communion and we seek opportunity And all of it is bound together in a story of being hospitable and learning how to love people beyond our own sense of what that is, and learning how to love that which is beyond us in a way that gives us hope and strength. On this Rosh Hashanah, on this new year, on the beginning of this year when we have just begun school and we've come back from our summer holidays, some of us are still at Ferry Beach, right? But they'll be back next week. I think this is the opportunity, and I hope that today is one of those days when you can pause and think, what must I repair? And what must I repent for? And what must I reconcile myself to in terms of the things that have happened in my life? And what, because of that, am I being given the opportunity to do now? Who am I and who am I becoming? Yes? Okay. Would you please join together in our closing hymn number 212, found in your gray hymnals? Please rise in body or in spirit. We are dancing, Sarah's circle. We are dancing, Sarah's circle. Sisters, brothers, all. Here we seek and find our history. Here we seek and find our history. Sisters, brothers, all. Our naming we our own naming we also do. Our own naming, sisters, brothers, all. Every round of generation, every round of generation, every round of generation, sisters, brothers, all. On and on, circles moving. On and on, the circles moving. On and on, the circles moving. Sisters, brothers, all. So I want you to turn, if you would, to number 572. We conclude our service with these words from the prophet Micah. How shall I enter the Eternal's presence? with the eternal care for rams in thousands, or oil flowing in myriad streams, but to be just and kind. Amen. And blessed be. Are there any brief announcements this morning? Diane? Just make sure that's on. Just push it in. It just pushes in.
So for about 6 months now, a small group of us have been knitting on Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock. And if you're a crocheter or a cross stitcher or anybody like that, you are certainly welcome. People have broken the rules, just like they do around here, and we have welcomed that. So come one, come all. We are now the Fiber Arts Group.
We shall not discriminate against any form of thread. Right? There you go. Any other announcements this morning? Once again, beloved, worship in this place has come to an end. Our service continues next with an opportunity for refreshment and conversation. I look forward to seeing you back here next week when we will begin our religious exploration program and our season begins in earnest. Thank you for being here this day.